The human soldier stepped off the shuttle, his boots crunching against the red-tinted dust of the planet. The sun was low in the sky, painting the landscape in shades of orange and purple. He had seen strange planets before, but something about this one felt alive, almost watching him. The winds carried an odd scent, metallic, yet sweet, and distant shapes moved among the jagged rocks and hills. Captain Aaron Kane adjusted his pack and looked at the holographic map flickering in his hand. His mission was clear: investigate the ruins of the alien structure that had been transmitting faint energy signals for weeks. No other humans had come close. The structure was deep within the wilderness, and rumors among the colonists spoke of strange lights and noises at night. But Aaron had never been the type to let fear decide his actions. Humans survived where others could not because they adapted. That thought gave him a quiet confidence. As he moved forward, he noticed the air itself seemed different here. Each breath felt heavier, almost charged. He reached the foot of the first ruins, a massive structure of unknown metal, half buried in the ground with glowing lines running across its surface. It hummed softly, and the sound was almost musical. Aaron approached slowly, scanning for traps or threats. He touched the metal. It was warm, surprisingly so, and the hum grew louder at his touch. Suddenly, a shadow moved within the ruins, fast and fluid. Aaron's hand went to his sidearm, but his instincts told him to wait. The shadow emerged and his eyes widened. She was unlike any creature he had ever seen. Humanoid in shape, but taller than a human, with skin that shimmered faintly under the setting sun. Her hair flowed like liquid silver, and her eyes glowed with a golden light that seemed to pierce his very thoughts. There was an elegance and strength in her movements that was almost predatory. Aaron raised his hand slowly. I come in peace," he said, voice steady despite his racing heart. The alien tilted her head, studying him silently. Then, without warning, she stepped closer. Aaron felt a strange pull, a sensation that made him feel both alert and calm at the same time. Her presence was overwhelming, yet it wasn't threatening, at least not yet. "You shouldn't be here," she said, her voice soft but carrying weight. It was not a human voice, yet he understood it perfectly, as if the words were in his mind before they left her lips. Telepathy. She was communicating without sound. "I could say the same," Aaron replied. "I mean no harm, I'm just exploring." Her eyes narrowed and she tilted her head again. Something flickered in them, curiosity, caution, maybe even amusement. Then she vanished, moving so quickly he almost didn't see her. Aaron spun around, scanning the ruins, but she was gone. Moments passed in silence. Then a sudden rumble shook the ground. Dust fell from the crumbling structure, and a part of the ceiling collapsed, sending a massive shard of metal crashing toward him. Reflexively, he dove to the side, but before he could hit the ground, a pair of strong hands grabbed him and yanked him back. He looked up, heart pounding, and saw her standing over him. "Careful," she said. There was no malice in her voice, only an instinctive warning. Thanks," Aaron stammered, still catching his breath. She studied him for a long moment, her golden eyes glowing brighter. Then, without any hesitation, she reached out and pulled him to his feet, her grip firm but not harsh. "Follow me," she commanded softly, almost a whisper. Aaron hesitated. The rational part of his mind screamed to maintain caution, but another part, curiosity, instinct, the same drive that had led humans to survive against impossible odds, urged him forward. He followed. She led him deeper into the ruins, to a chamber that looked almost like a sanctuary. Strange symbols covered the walls, and soft light pulsed from the floor. In the center was a raised platform, smooth and warm to the touch. She gestured for him to sit, then stood close beside him. Aaron noticed something odd. Despite her imposing height and strength, she radiated a kind of vulnerability here, a sense of needing safety. He didn't understand it fully, but it made her seem less like a predator and more like someone who had been alone for a long time. "Why are you here?" she asked, her voice more curious than accusatory. I'm a human soldier. We received your energy signals and wanted to study them. I didn't expect to meet anyone like you, he admitted honestly. Her eyes flickered again. You are brave or foolish. Humans always seem to push into places they do not belong. Maybe, Aaron said with a small shrug, but that's how humans survive. We explore, we adapt, that's our strength. For a moment she simply stared at him. Then, without warning, she reached out and touched his hand. The contact sent a strange shiver through him, a feeling he had never experienced before. His mind felt lighter, clearer. He could sense her emotions, curiosity, caution, and something that almost felt like a protectiveness. You are different from others, she said softly. I do not know why, but I feel connected to you. Aaron blinked, not sure how to respond. He had trained for countless unpredictable situations, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. Connected how? He asked. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she stepped closer, her presence pressing in on him, overwhelming yet not hostile. Then, with surprising swiftness, she reached out and pulled him onto the raised platform. Aaron stumbled, but she held him firmly. His heart raced. What are you doing? He asked, voice tense but not panicked. She leaned close, her golden eyes locking with his. Mine, she whispered, the word resonating deep within his mind. There was no threat in her tone, only an instinctive claim, a protective declaration that he didn't fully understand but somehow felt honored by. Aaron froze. The word echoed in his thoughts, and for a moment he felt a strange calmness despite the rapid pounding of his heart. He realized she wasn't trying to harm him. She was asserting a bond, one that went beyond words or logic. The wind outside howled, and dust from the collapsing ruins swirled around the chamber, but inside there was only them. He looked at her, trying to understand the creature before him. She was alien, yes, but there was intelligence, emotion, and something profoundly human in the way she had claimed him, not as property, but as someone to protect. Aaron swallowed. I don't understand, he admitted. You will, she said softly, her voice almost a melody. She didn't let go of his hand, her grip was firm, steady, protective. Stay with me, survive with me, that is all that matters now. He nodded slowly. Humans thrived in impossible situations, and he realized that this moment was one of those situations. Fear was natural, yes, but courage and adaptability were stronger. He would trust her for now. The sun dipped lower, and the ruins glowed faintly under the alien light. Outside, the winds carried the scent of danger and the unknown, but inside, Aaron felt an odd sense of safety. She remained close, her golden eyes watching him, and though he did not fully understand her or the bond forming between them, he knew one thing clearly. Survival here meant trust. And humans, he reminded himself, survived against all odds. Hours passed in tense silence. Aaron explored the chamber carefully, noting symbols and patterns, while she moved around him, alert and watchful. Every now and then she would glance at him, her golden eyes gleaming with that strange mixture of curiosity and ownership. At one point he stumbled on a strange, glowing device. She moved instantly, placing a hand over his, guiding him. The contact was brief, but again, a shiver ran through him. This was no ordinary touch. It was awareness, connection, and perhaps, in some way, trust. You are learning, she said softly, almost approvingly. You may survive yet. Aaron gave a small smile. Humans always find a way, he said, and in the moment he realized it wasn't just a statement. It was a truth he carried with him, one that even this alien, this mysterious being, could recognize. As night fell outside the ruins, the chamber glowed softly, and Aaron finally allowed himself to rest. She remained close, her presence a constant warmth. Though he did not fully understand the depth of her claim, her whispered mine, he did not resist. Somehow in that strange, alien space, he felt a sense of purpose and safety that he had never known. Humans survived, he thought again. And maybe, just maybe, this bond, this strange connection, was the next step in survival, not just for him, but for both of them. And so, as the alien watched over him, he closed his eyes, ready to face whatever this world, and she might throw at him next. The sun rose slowly over the jagged horizon, sending long shadows across the red dust of the alien landscape. Aaron woke to the soft hum of the structure around him. The alien, whose name he still did not know, was already awake, standing near the edge of the platform. Her golden eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, scanning the ruins as though she could see through the very walls. He stretched, feeling the stiffness from a night of tense awareness. Despite the strangeness of the situation, he had slept well. Somehow, her presence had been reassuring. He sat up and noticed that she had placed a small bundle of strange fruits and liquid in a shallow dish nearby. The food looked alien yet edible. He picked up a piece and tasted it carefully. Sweet, with a faint metallic tang. He nodded, approving silently, and she watched him with an unreadable expression, her head tilted slightly. "Eat," she said simply. Her voice was not loud, but it carried over the soft hum of the structure, and he understood perfectly. Thanks," Aaron replied, still unsure of how their communication worked so flawlessly. Every word he heard from her seemed to resonate directly in his mind, bypassing the need for sound. She didn't speak again but continued to observe the chamber. Aaron realized that survival in this place required learning. He studied the glowing patterns on the floor and walls, touching them cautiously. When his fingers hovered over a symbol, a soft light pulsed beneath them. She moved closer, placing her hand briefly on his wrist. The contact sent a strange shiver through him again, and the light beneath his fingers brightened. "Careful," she said. "This place responds to touch and thought. You must understand it to survive." "I'm a fast learner," Aaron said, trying to sound confident. He had survived training, battles, and missions in hostile environments, but this was unlike anything he had encountered. He was not just navigating a foreign landscape. He was navigating a foreign mind and a foreign technology that seemed almost alive. She gave him a long look, her eyes glowing brighter for a moment. Then she turned and moved deeper into the chamber. Aaron followed, keeping his senses alert. Every corner held potential danger, but also potential discovery. He noticed strange devices that pulsed softly, and walls that seemed to shift subtly as he walked past. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the ruins. Dust fell from the ceiling and the glowing lines on the floor flickered. Aaron froze. She glanced at him, her eyes sharp and focused. Without warning, a section of the floor collapsed ahead of them, revealing a pit that stretched deep into darkness. The wind from below carried a strange, foul scent. "Do not fall," she said. She moved closer and extended her hand. Aaron grasped it without hesitation. Her grip was firm, steady, and protective. Together, they moved around the pit, finding a safer path deeper into the ruins. As they walked, Aaron noticed more of her behavior, how she paused to listen to distant sounds, how she sniffed the air subtly, how she seemed to anticipate danger before it appeared. She was not just strong, she was intelligent and instinctive, capable of assessing threats far beyond human ability. And yet, she had chosen to trust him, or at least allow him to follow her. Hours passed as they explored. Aaron learned to interpret her gestures, her subtle cues, and even the tone of her whispers that resonated in his mind. She led him to a chamber filled with strange crystals that glowed softly. When he touched one, a vision flashed in his mind, images of vast alien cities, of beings flying through strange skies, of battles he could barely comprehend. "You must see," she said. "Knowledge is survival." Aaron withdrew his hand slowly, overwhelmed. "It's incredible," he said, "but I don't understand everything." "You will," she replied. "You learn fast, but understanding takes time." Their exploration continued, but the ruins were not the only danger. Outside, the alien wilderness teemed with life, creatures of all shapes and sizes, some curious, some hostile. Aaron noticed claw marks on the walls and remnants of other intruders, perhaps humans, perhaps aliens. "We are not alone," he said quietly. "No," she replied. "Other species come. They take, they destroy. We must protect what is here." Aaron felt a surge of respect for her. Despite her alien nature, she had instincts similar to his own. Humans survived because they adapted and protected what mattered. She too adapted and protected, even across species. Later, they reached a large chamber that appeared to be a central hub. A massive door stood before them, covered in glowing symbols and faint energy fields. She gestured for him to stop. "This door," she said, "leads to the heart of the ruins. It is dangerous but necessary. You must decide follow or remain behind." Aaron didn't hesitate. "I follow," he said. He had learned much in the short time with her and he trusted her instincts. Humans survived by facing challenges, not avoiding them. She studied him for a long moment, then stepped aside, allowing him to move forward. Together, they approached the door. Aaron touched one of the glowing symbols cautiously. The door shivered and slowly began to open, revealing a corridor bathed in soft, golden light. As they stepped inside, a sudden wave of energy washed over them. Aaron felt his body lighten, as if gravity had shifted. The air hummed with power and he realized the ruins themselves were alive, responding to their presence. The alien stood close, her golden eyes watching him, alert and protective. Then, without warning, a loud screech echoed through the corridor. From the shadows, creatures emerged, four-legged beings with glowing eyes and sharp, metallic claws. They moved swiftly, surrounding them. Aaron's training kicked in. He reached for his sidearm, but she moved first. With a fluid motion, she leapt forward, striking the nearest creature. It yelped and stumbled backward, but more came. Aaron fired, careful not to hit her. The creatures advanced, but she moved with precision, her strikes calculated, almost elegant. He realized she was not just strong, she was faster, smarter, and deadly when provoked. And yet she did not harm him. Every move was protective, keeping him safe. The battle was brief but intense. Aaron's bullets and her strength combined to push the creatures back. The last one fell with a screech and silence returned to the corridor. Aaron took a deep breath, heart pounding. You saved me," he said. She looked at him, her eyes softening slightly. "I did not save, I protected. You may be mine, but you survive only if you fight. You are human, you understand survival." Aaron nodded slowly. Humans had always faced threats, adapted, and survived. And now, in this alien world, he realized that survival was not just about skill, it was about trust and partnership, even with beings so different from him. They moved deeper into the corridor. The air shimmered with energy, and Aaron felt a strange connection with the structure itself. His mind seemed clearer, thoughts sharper. He realized that the ruins were teaching him, revealing knowledge to those who were worthy and brave enough to endure its trials. Hours passed as they navigated twisting corridors and chambers filled with strange devices. She guided him silently, sometimes touching his arm to direct him or placing her hand on his shoulder to steady him. Each contact carried a strange warmth, a reassurance that he was not alone, even in this hostile, alien environment. Finally, they reached a chamber at the heart of the ruins. The walls pulsed with energy, and in the center floated a crystal, glowing with golden light. Aaron approached cautiously. The alien stepped beside him, her presence steady and protective. "This is the core," she said. "It contains knowledge and power, but it tests all who approach. Only those who understand survival, trust, and courage may access it." Aaron swallowed. Humans had always faced impossible tests and somehow survived. He reached out to the crystal. Energy coursed through him, images flashing in his mind, visions of alien civilizations, battles, and challenges he could barely comprehend. It was overwhelming, but he focused, drawing on everything he had learned. She watched him silently, her golden eyes glowing brighter with each passing moment. Then, as the vision subsided, she reached out and touched his hand. "You are worthy," she said simply. Aaron looked at her, awe in his eyes. I didn't know I could do it." "You did," she replied. "Humans always find a way, that is your strength." For the first time, Aaron felt a deep connection with her, not just trust, but something stronger, almost unspoken. She had called him mine before, and now he understood. It was not a claim of possession, but a bond forged through survival, respect, and mutual reliance. As they left the chamber, the sun was setting again, casting long shadows across the ruins. Aaron realized that his journey had changed him. He was not just a human soldier in an alien world. He was a partner, a survivor, and someone who had earned the respect of a being far beyond human comprehension. She walked beside him, silent but present. He felt her gaze on him, protective and steady. For the first time, he allowed himself to relax, knowing that together, they could face whatever dangers lay ahead. And as the alien led him back through the twisting corridors, Aaron Kane understood one undeniable truth. Humans survived, not just by strength or intelligence, but by courage, trust, and the willingness to face the unknown, even when it came in the form of a being as mysterious and powerful as this. The bond they had formed was only beginning. The ruins had quieted after the core chamber, but the planet itself was far from calm. Winds carried dust and distant roars of unseen creatures, while the alien structure hummed softly, as if aware of every movement inside it. Aaron and the alien walked through the twisting corridors, now familiar with the rhythm of the ruins. He moved with confidence, his senses alert but no longer tense. He knew she had chosen to trust him, and he trusted her in return. Outside the ruins, the landscape was harsh and unpredictable. Towering rock formations jutted into the sky, and red dust swirled with every gust of wind. Despite the beauty, Aaron felt the weight of danger pressing on him. This planet did not forgive mistakes. Humans survived because they adapted, he reminded himself, and every step had to count. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet. A low, guttural growl rose from the valley below. Aaron stopped and looked toward the source. From the shadows emerged creatures larger than the ones they had faced before, four-legged beasts with glinting exoskeletons and jagged teeth, their eyes glowing a feral red. They were fast, intelligent, and clearly hunting. The alien moved instantly, placing herself between Aaron and the creatures. "Stay close," she whispered in his mind. "They attack without reason. You survive if you follow me." Aaron nodded, adrenaline sharpening his senses. His training kicked in, but he realized something remarkable. These creatures, though dangerous, underestimated him. Humans always adapted to threats, found weaknesses, and turned odds into advantage. That was their strength, and he would rely on it now. The creatures charged. Aaron fired carefully, aiming for vulnerable points, while the alien struck with precision, her strength and speed unmatched. Together, they moved like a coordinated unit, instinct and trust guiding every step. Aaron marveled at her abilities but remained focused. Humans had survived countless battles through intelligence and courage, and he intended to prove it here. The fight was intense. Several creatures fell, but more emerged from the shadows. Aaron realized they needed a plan. He spotted a narrow ledge above the creatures, and a risky idea formed. "Follow me," he said, and she hesitated for a fraction of a second before nodding. They climbed quickly, moving along the ledge. The creatures leapt toward them, but the alien struck out, her claws slicing through the air with deadly accuracy. Aaron kept pace, using his agility and instincts to avoid attacks and support her. From this height he noticed something. The creatures were being drawn by the core chamber's energy. The planet itself seemed to guide them. Aaron whispered his plan. "We lead them back toward the ruins. The energy field might repel them if we position it right." She nodded. They moved as one, running along the ledge and jumping down into the ruins' entrance. Aaron adjusted the energy conduits, remembering the patterns they had studied. The alien watched, her golden eyes glowing with approval as he connected nodes and activated the chambers. Light pulsed and a soft hum filled the air. The creatures hesitated, snarling at the energy barrier. Aaron moved closer to the alien. "We can do this together," he said. She glanced at him, and for the first time he saw a subtle softness in her gaze. "Together," she echoed, her voice a whisper in his mind. With a final adjustment, the energy field flared. The creatures roared and retreated, unwilling to cross the barrier. Silence returned. Aaron's heart raced, but a smile crept across his face. Humans survived by finding solutions, by thinking under pressure, and by trusting one another. And right now, his survival depended on their teamwork. She stepped close, her presence calm yet imposing. Aaron noticed how different this bond felt compared to anything he had known. She had called him mine before, not as possession, but as recognition of their connection, their shared struggle. He realized that humans and her species, though so different, could work together, each complementing the other. After the creatures fled, they rested in the central chamber. Aaron examined the core again. It pulsed softly, as if acknowledging their success. The alien watched him, her golden eyes reflecting the light. "You are stronger than I expected," she said. "Not just in body, but in mind. You survive because you do not give up." Aaron shrugged, though his chest swelled with pride. "Humans always find a way, that's what we do." She studied him for a long moment, then stepped closer. "I see why you are mine," she whispered. The word resonated differently now, not as a warning, but as trust, acknowledgement, and perhaps even respect. Aaron felt warmth spread through him. In this moment, he understood that survival was not just about strength or strategy. It was about connection, trust, and courage. As they explored the ruins further, they discovered more chambers filled with alien technology and knowledge. Aaron interacted with them carefully, often guided by her subtle gestures or brief touch. Each contact carried an unspoken lesson: how to use the devices safely, how to read the signals, how to anticipate danger. He realized that humans thrived not because of sheer power, but because they could learn, adapt, and persevere. Outside the ruins, night fell quickly. The planet's sky was a swirl of colors, reds, purples, and streaks of green light. Strange stars shone brightly, and distant lightning illuminated the jagged terrain. Aaron felt both awe and apprehension. The world was beautiful, yes, but deadly. He had to remain vigilant. Suddenly, a new threat appeared, a massive creature with wings and glowing eyes descending toward the ruins. Its roar shook the ground. Aaron's first instinct was to prepare to fight, but the alien moved faster. She grabbed his arm and pulled him toward a defensive chamber. "Stay behind me," she commanded. Aaron followed without hesitation. The creature landed outside, thrashing and roaring. The alien stood at the entrance, her golden eyes blazing. Aaron noticed the way she moved, careful, precise, protective. Every motion was calculated to shield him while preparing to neutralize the threat. He realized something important. Humans survived not just through individual skill, but through trust, courage, and partnership. He could contribute, but he also had to rely on her. Together, they formed a unit that no single being could overcome alone. The battle was fierce. Aaron used his knowledge of terrain and strategy, while she relied on her strength and instincts. Together, they led the creature into a trap within the ruins, a chamber that emitted energy pulses. The creature faltered, disoriented by the waves. Aaron moved quickly to adjust the energy nodes, and with a final pulse the creature was subdued, retreating into the darkness outside. Aaron exhaled, leaning against the wall. "We did it," he said, voice steady but filled with relief. The alien approached, placing her hand lightly on his shoulder. "We survive," she said simply. Her eyes softened. "Together." Aaron smiled, feeling a deep connection he had never known. Humans survived by facing impossible odds, by trusting their instincts, and by forming bonds that transcended fear. He had learned this not just through his own experiences, but through the trust and guidance of this alien being. Days passed as they continued to explore the ruins. Aaron grew more confident, moving with purpose, understanding the alien technology and anticipating dangers. The alien remained by his side, protective yet encouraging, teaching him not only to survive but to excel in this world. One evening, they reached a chamber that overlooked the entire landscape. The alien gestured for him to look. Aaron gazed out, seeing the vast terrain stretching endlessly, the dangers and wonders intertwined. He realized that humans had come far, not just on Earth but across the stars. Survival was not limited to a planet or species. It was a trait carried in their adaptability, courage, and determination. She touched his arm gently. "You are ready," she said. "You understand now. You survive because you are human, and I trust you." Aaron nodded. The bond between them had grown from instinct and necessity to respect and partnership. He had survived battles, adapted to alien technology, and faced unimaginable dangers. He had also learned that survival was strengthened through connection, courage, and trust, not just skill. The ruins hummed softly around them, acknowledging their triumph. The creatures outside had been driven back, the threats managed, and a partnership had been formed that bridged worlds. Aaron realized that humans could survive anywhere, even in alien worlds, not just through strength or intelligence, but through their ability to learn, adapt, and form bonds that defied boundaries. As night settled over the alien landscape, Aaron and the alien stood side by side, looking toward the horizon. The future was uncertain, but together they were prepared. Humans survived. And now he was living proof that even in the farthest reaches of the galaxy, courage, intelligence, and trust could triumph over fear, danger, and the unknown. The alien's hand brushed lightly against his, a subtle gesture of connection. "Mine," she whispered, softly and without demand this time. Aaron understood fully. The word had transformed. It was no longer a claim but a recognition of partnership, trust, and survival together. He smiled. "And I trust you," he replied. Together they faced the alien night, ready for whatever the universe would send next, knowing that as humans had always done, they would survive and thrive.